billion investment in US plants. It's a $1 billion news flow day. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in yet again.
Tariff.
And more tariffs.
And more tariffs, nice. Yeah, the latest one being on agricultural products.
मतलब है अभी सर कर रहे हैं tariffs काफ़ी सारे.
Sir, Trump tariff.
There's a new term that I learned today, Trump session.
Okay. Yeah, which is the afternoon session because
No, Trump session, recession, Trump session.
Okay, that way.
But more than that, it's about the uncertainty, right? And we've spoken about this enough and more here on this show. Niraj, you spoke with a couple of people in the morning. Is that what the global investor sentiment also indicates, basis who you spoke with in the morning? You spoke to a couple of guests.
Yeah.
I was listening in briefly, but I believe you'll have the best.
No, I think the point is, think of it this way that, at least I think of it this way, that what's happened is that there are 2 years of US exceptionalism. If everybody thought that this is going to be the third year, right? The start of this year, 2 months are showing that Europe and US are now moving in divergent trends.
Yes.
A sleepy Europe has suddenly woken up. The bourses are zooming. Look at the defense stocks in Europe yesterday. And look at what's happening to US markets currently. So it's not been a first pleasant couple of months of US markets in Donald Trump's presidency. Can it change? Remains to be seen. But tariffs, uncertainty,
But and
a slowdown in US.
Yes.
At a point of time when China is revving up. China is revving up.
We've been hearing about China revving up since September, October, right? Stimulus is going to come in, that kind of stuff, which is there.
We'll get to know tomorrow.
We'll get to know tomorrow early morning. India market opening. India market opening us. By that time, we'll have the Chinese premier announce the entire policy.
And it's going to be a big one.
And it's going to be a big one. And they're going to look at increasing the fiscal deficit and spending. If anything is going to be below expectation, then it's going to be a big disappointment for the Asian markets in the morning, which is going to happen. But as you said about Europe,
but no, sir, sorry, I want to close this point. So, of course, if it was a disappointment, bad for Asia, including India, but what if announcements are good? Metal stocks in focus. What else, in your view?
Yeah, that's the thing which we need to see, right? What is the kind of expansionary plans that China has for its industries? We spoke about that in October, November, and at that point in time, we saw flows moving out from India to China as build-up positions. And the measures were much more muted in nature. Now we need to see whether it could be much more bigger in nature, because now things are going to be not only major expansionary measures, but also counter tariff measures which will come in for Trump tariffs, which are going to be effective today night.
By the way, that's Naman's question as well. Naman Para is asking that do you foresee any meaningful impact on India with US reciprocal tariffs?
Yes, why not? Because if there is a curve which is going to happen with respect to tariffs, it's going to make things tough for US. But from India point of view, there is a supply chain issue which is coming into play, wherein a lot of dumping may happen into the Indian markets, and so Indian government may have to put in more safeguards. Especially, I think steel पे तो बात हो ही रही है, and steel is I think running up for the last couple of days on the expectation कि safeguard duty आएगा ही आएगा. So there is something which is going to happen with some of the big imports which is coming from China, and that is something to watch out for. And if
in fact, anything commodity, no sir.
Anything
commodity. It can even be plastic pellets. उसपे भी anything commodity, I think will.
Yeah, means the thing is that if China is going to go for an expansionary policy, which means more manufacturing there, and other developed markets are getting tighter for China, then it will flow into emerging countries like India, Asia Pacific, or Africa, where you can just come and push your stuff, and that is going to be negative for the domestic industry.
By the way, guys, we'll take questions within the next 5 minutes, and if you're liking what we're doing here, please hit the bell icon. It helps us a lot. Please hit like, please give us your views on comments. all feedback appreciated. So yeah, we can.
But yeah, the markets is very, I would say, resilient. 22,000 is holding up
Holding up.
for Nifty.
Yeah, I mean, the support was started to be 21,800 actually. 22,000 was chalo, a major level, but in around this range, right?
Small cap, देखो 1% up है.
We are back to levels where we were on the election day verdict. वहाँ पे आ गया वापस.
And a lot of put is getting written at 22,000. So there is a lot of support coming in for.
Yeah, there's a lot of support at this level. Even I've been speaking to a couple of people. They've said support here is very
22,500
strong.
and 22,000 is the band in which, because our calls have been written at 22,500, which means there is a resistance to go beyond that, and 22,000 is something. Unless there is going to be something different which is going to be announced in the evening by Trump, I don't think we're going to have a breach coming in soon.
Yeah, the good part is banks are participating today, but यार अभी तो bottom call करना थोड़ा fight हो गया है, because you never know what could cause what, but yeah, this is
but
encouraging
a couple of
behavior.
people on the technical front. Sorry, I'm not a technical person. I don't have that. But I mean, for those who are watching, and if this is helpful, I spoke to a couple of people who track technicals, who I respect, and they are suggesting that you will see a recovery from here likely. How sharp is really a question.
I think banking.
Sandeep Tandon is saying that.
But banking is led by what? SBI and HDFC Bank.
Yeah.
TCS is up today. So SBI, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. Heavyweights. These three banks are together accounting for nearly 35-40 points on the Nifty, basically. And then TCS, which is accounting for nearly 8 points.
Which is a big day which is a big number on a day like this.
And the SBI thing is more of a city impact which is there. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so very interesting, right, sir? We've always spoken about SBI as being one of those sleeping beauties, both in terms of valuation at one times book and in terms of performance now. You're seeing ROA of it topped at around 1.2%, if I'm not wrong. So very strong ROA expansion as well that we've seen from SBI. Now, what's the next lever, right? And we're seeing some bit of margin contraction. That's what we saw this quarter, and that's where some of the tepidness also came on the stock. And essentially, when Citi met with them, they have pulled out of their bag a slew of initiatives which they've taken to contain cost of borrowing. Their treasury as well as overseas teams are working hard to trim down with regard to cost of borrowing. On the deposits front, they are working hard on current assets, and they believe that there is scope for both growth there as well as at a lower price. So they're trying to get deposits at a lower price on the wholesale side, and they're also making and they've put 500 people on ground. I know it's not a big number for SBI, but when you're comparing it to any other bank, putting 500 people on ground to try and shore in current account deposits is large. And lastly, they're also coming out with newer initiatives and schemes from a customer perspective to attract the customer to come and have deposits in the bank, and which will help them.
Yeah, and what is helping the
funds.
deposits is the current uncertainty around cooperative banks. The new India issue which is there, right? And I'm seeing, especially Mumbai specific and Mumbai and Pune where we're seeing a lot of cooperative housing societies which had accounts in cooperative banks have moved money lock, stock and barrel back to public sector banks.
Yeah.
And that is something which is going to be visible in the numbers as well for some of the public sector banks.
Correct.
Which is going to happen.
Okay, now let's take questions maybe. Because there are a lot of them.
We have lots.
Want to quickly touch upon DI flows if we can. Sustainable $1 billion of DI flow in a single day. Just want to try and close a couple of points. That
but
8,000 crores plus coming yesterday.
11,000 crore उसके पहले वाले दिन भी था. So which is fine. मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ आज संदीप
at 22,000 there seems to be very strong flows. That's
but
what I'm
simple बोल रहा हूँ आज संदीप टंडन का comment देख लो ना.
नहीं वो भी नहीं, but what you're seeing is small cap में जो activity हो रही है कल small cap came back from the bottom, is around more than 2.5% up था small cap में, और आज भी small cap 1% ऊपर है.
So 400 point bounce. हमने बात भी किया कल.
बात भी कर रहे थे हम न्यूज़रूम में ये बात.
So here's a very large fund who is saying that most of our analytics around broader indices and our analytics are now showcasing that there is a trading bottom around the corner. Hence, we are participating in both large and mega large caps while selectively increasing our small cap exposure in most of our equity schemes.
See?
Interesting.
So it's almost we are hitting the bottom.
So
right?
can DI's flows sustain is the question now.
No, the DI flows is around 35 to 40,000 crores every month. Of that, 10,000 crores is going into small and mid cap, and then the others is the thematic and other stuff.
So can it sustain? It looks
like
positive.
it is. Right?
Let's see.
The kind of interesting to see if if we look at the delivery stats of some of the highly liquid small caps and how they have moved, we'll see a good delivery stats coming in from those companies.
Now, before we start taking questions, I want to cover one quick point. We had a Motilal Oswal note earlier today, which I found very interesting, which talks about sectors trading at a premium to their historical multiples and sectors trading at a discount. And because suddenly it's become a market where people are trying to find what to buy, that's why I thought this may be relevant. To start off with sectors trading at a discount to historical: telecom, followed by media, followed by auto, followed by private sector banks, followed by retail. That in that order. Those trading at a premium, in this order, most premium is infra, followed by utilities, but mind you, they've come off a bad cycle and therefore some of that may be distorted. Cement, chemicals, consumer durables, technology, PSU banks, cap goods, NBFCs, healthcare, real estate, oil and gas, logistics, consumer and metals. That's in that order. Most premium to least premium. We'll put this list out as well separately so that you all can have
So,
it.
Naman, we have added, we have spoken about your two questions. One is on the impact of US reciprocal tariffs, and the second one is on the small cap valuations, which he was asking.
Yeah, small caps, just that we put out that data this morning, right? That the index is trading at some 21 times.
Yes.
And I know you don't look at the small cap index as an index because a very disparate set of companies. But for what it's worth, you can argue one way, I can argue other way, that some are expensive, some are not. So therefore, look at the index.
Yeah,
the index is
index market cap company कितना होगा उसमें 10-15 हज़ार करोड़ का तो होगा ही होगा ना
मोटा मोटी हाँ शायद हो सकता है $1 billion तो होगा ही होगा
$1 billion तो है 8-9 हज़ार करोड़ तो है ही मिनिमम
Nifty 500th name should be about
around
1 billion.
10,000 odd crores which is there. So it's not a small company by any standard.
No, but disparate. But that's why sector aggregate valuation is 21 times. Now, to this, like I said, you can slice and dice data different ways and tell me that, look at the median thing, look at this, look at strip of margin, etc. Broadly, keep it simple. 21 times, average is 28 times. Are they reasonable now? Yes. I mean, global fund managers are saying that. I heard a global fund manager on CNBC Asia say that they are biting into mid-cap names.
I think I've seen the same one. Yes, they are biting into mid-cap names.
Naturally, they've fallen by 30-40%, and even we were arguing last week, Niraj, कि गिरने के बाद भी उसका जो वैल्यूएशन है 30 टाइम्स कुछ और दिख रहा है.
यार ये वही है ना सजीत, हमने देखा ना वो क्लासिक वो पेंडुलम है. तो पहले पॉजिटिव में एक बाजू एकदम चढ़ गया था, अभी यहाँ पे इतना है. तो अगर यहाँ पे होना चाहिए, लेकिन है यहाँ पे नेगेटिविटी. एंड देयरफॉर ऑल गुड न्यूज़ आल्सो, राइट, कि थोड़े प्रमोटर बाय कर रहे हैं, आरबीआई ने इनफ एमओ दिया है, थोड़ा सपोर्ट मिल रहा है, वैल्यूएशंस ठीक है. मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि ऐसा हो जाना चाहिए, बट यहाँ पे होना चाहिए. लेकिन पेसिमिज्म फिलहाल यहाँ पे है.
Are you serious? It swung all the way.
मतलब all the way, मतलब I don't know where it is right now, but all I'm saying is
It's
if
beyond
depicting
it's beyond the mean.
Beyond the mean.
Beyond where it should be probably.
And
Sentiment.
The only sentiment factor now is the Trump basically, right? Because we don't know what exactly is comes in the next 1 month. April 2nd.
And our growth here, our growth needs to come back.
Manufacturing is still slow, so that's something which is there. And by the way, Venkat Kalyan has given a suggestion. He's saying, here's my suggestion on companies for discussion: Transrail, KPIT, Wabag, BL, Shakti Pumps, Tejas, SJ, Mart, Network, Web, Ganesh Housing, Precall, Care and Heat Exchangers. बहुत बड़ा लिस्ट है।
सब पे बात करना है,
सब पे
सबको चैनल पे लाना है।
चैनल पे लाना है। हाँ
चलो ठीक है, channel
we
पे
will
लेके
Venkat, we will pass on this to our team who will get
Yeah.
चलो ठीक है.
Okay.
Mahindra Kumar Jain, he's given us some names. IGI, do we have a sorry, I have not.
Yeah, IGIFC.
IGI, do we
I've
have
seen the numbers yesterday. The top line was 6%, which was very disappointing. It's into certification business. मेरे हिसाब से तो उसको क्वार्टर ऑन क्वार्टर देखना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो सर्टिफिकेशन बिजनेस है और कंपनी खुद बोलती है कि कोई सीजनैलिटी नहीं है उनकी बिजनेस में. But the point is that you have to look into that business from two point of view. One, jewelry businesses or jewelry companies, how are they doing? They've been doing very well, but in terms of top line. But studded jewelry has been growing at a slower rate, and that is going to impact IGI as well, because IGI में जो certifications होते हैं वो natural diamonds and lab grown diamonds के होते हैं. The company came out with the first earnings after listing. That's the Q4 earnings that came out on a consolidated basis. EBITDA margins have gone up, profits have gone up, but top line was disappointing from my point of view. Lab grown diamond segment has grown much faster than the natural diamonds, so the mix has moved in favor of the lab grown. If you just to give a perspective, they get $50 per carat for natural diamond for every certification they do. For lab grown, it's around $20 per carat, which is there. So the volume business is going up, and even in lab grown, there is a volume based discounting which comes into play. So the mix is moving towards lab grown, and plus they have said that in November 15 to 20 days of shutdown happened for most of the diamond manufacturing units. It's normally 5 to 7 days after Diwali that happens, but this time it was double the time which happened, which was there. So that shows the slowdown in diamond manufacturing also, which is coming into play here. So that's something which is going to be a decider going forward. Of course, it's the first quarter for them, so we need to see a couple of more quarters for them, and they will have to disclose more information and performance metrics for the street to understand.
Okay, East My Trip, sir. I know you have a
No, I don't have a view.
or you have very strong views in general with regard to East My Trip.
No views on this.
Okay, so no views, but I mean, just in general, promoter selling and selling so heavily. After coming and giving guidance, a slight change in stance with regard to the business as well. Not sure as to whether the new business that they are planning to do, if I recall, was e-buses, whether that will really pick up or not, and whether they are even equipped to do that or not. There are lots of players in that space. So I mean, I don't know. The model is a phenomenal model, because you look at a Make My Trip, they're doing very well, but that's provided they stick to the model and not change and diversify. If they were to do that, then could well be different. And therefore, would you be better from a 5-year perspective to explore other companies? I'm sure, because you're talking from a 5-year perspective. I mean, why would you chance it when there are such good opportunities available at a time like this? Is just what I feel maybe a cautious approach to take.
Speaker Reddy, he has a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Dam Capital. Why Dam Capital is correcting so much?
Completely
is
into market, no?
Equity is not doing well.
Yeah, completely. It's a completely market proxy, right? Because they do not have any other
Platforms.
offshoot of business, right? पूरा market linked है. Market ऊपर जाएगा
और
iBanking आएगा. पूरा market IPOs will come off, everything will come off, so then income will go down this quarter, this year.
Q4 will be a bad
Q4
quarter.
will be a bad quarter relative to Q3 for sure, because even broking income will go down. पूरा market proxy है. 430 on day of listing. From there to कितना होगा? 200 होगा फिलहाल. Must be around 200 Dam Capital or thereabouts, right? Because I'm sure it's corrected nearly 50% from or whatever. And now in order to recover that, opening 200 देखा, हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ बॉस, हाँ हाफ हो गया और अभी 100% ऊपर जाना पड़ेगा. But proxy है. So, a great quality franchise. He's a brilliant banker, Dharmesh Mehta. And it's been a great team around it. The reports are great. They're doing good events.
Macro events are such.
Macro. Same entire
Debt-free
macro.
company, trading at 20
Yeah.
times. Just some stats that we're throwing your
And
way.
good build
is something
pedigree of
should
with the
look
way
for.
he's built the entire business from
Yeah.
scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
He's a brilliant banker.
Kaushal the Kalia. I know many PMS and HNI sitting on huge cash.
Are they?
Are they?
What?
HNI
HNI
and
PMS sitting on huge cash?
Only you know this best. So
Yeah.
that's why we're asking you. Not sure.
I can answer for PMS companies.
I was talking PMS. Someone was talking HNI. I don't know about HNI.
Yeah, not too many PMSs also on too much of cash, to be honest. A few, right? But so the question is whether they'll start deploying.
No, the question is whether they are waiting for something or looking at real estate sector.
But so are they, jokes apart, are they really sitting on?
No, I don't think
okay,
so. I don't
yeah.
think too much. I mean, on
understanding too,
Equitas
that's
or somebody like that, or might be sitting on enough cash, but not every PMS is sitting on too much of cash. But yeah, whether they're looking specifically at real estate sector, I don't know. But the numbers still seem okay. I mean, we were talking to Baban Irani yesterday of Keystone.
Yeah.
He cited out points about how sales are looking okay thus far.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will last. Usually, stock market अच्छी करती है तब real estate में तेजी होती है, right? Because people transfer money from markets. Now that this has happened, wealth effect, etc., getting eroded, whether real estate sales really zoom, I don't know.
Like pre-booking has come down a bit.
A
Many
bit,
companies.
sir. ये बहुत
Big मतलब बहुत है, बहुत कम हो गया।
बेस और सर बेस बहुत हाई है यार. I mean you can't. Sorry.
देखो
यार.
pre-booking.
Oh, which is
but
the other
cut
thing,
some
right?
slack
But
to
which
the
is the other
real
thing.
estate
If the
sector.
base is so high, will they be able to show good growth in the whole calendar if the markets
When the
remain
market
sluggish?
move from pre-sales
But
judgment
it's-
to actual sales execution.
But sir, it's so individualistic.
Actual sales तो next 2 साल हो जाएंगे सजीत.
वो हो ही नहीं रहे ना.
नहीं, आप समझे नहीं. मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि प्री सेल्स हो गए. हाँ, आपने अगर बुक करवा दिया है, राइट, आपने 25% भर दिया है, 20% भर दिया है, आप अभी स्लैब वाइज भरते रहोगे तो वो नेक्स्ट 2 साल के लिए इशू नहीं है. बिकॉज नेक्स्ट 2 साल की बुकिंग तो लास्ट 1 साल में हो गई है.
Exactly my point.
नाउ इट डिपेंड्स ऑन
2 साल में बहुत बुकिंग हुई है.
वही. सो नाउ दे हैव टू एग्जीक्यूट. वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई थिंक प्रॉब्लम विल बी इन प्री सेल्स. वेदर प्री सेल्स नाउ गेट इम्पैक्टेड इन द नेक्स्ट कपल ऑफ क्वार्टर्स, ऐसा मुझे लगता है. पता नहीं, बट लेट्स सी.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
पर
that
सप्लाई
most
देखो
of-
यार,
वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
बॉम्बे में सप्लाई देख लो. अरे बाक रे.
Your favorite
कितने
guru
नए projects
has a question. Warren Buffett has a question for you.
हाँ.
Oh, one thing that confuses me is how the DI buying numbers have.
पास्ट फ्यू मंथ्स नहीं है सर. वॉरेन बफेट भाई फॉरएवर है. फॉरएवर है. फॉरएवर. सजीत, एनी थॉट्स हियर? आप बताओ.
Sajeet sir कभी
सिंपल है. फॉर एवरी बायर देयर इज अ सेलर.
Exactly. So
No,
when
no,
Sajeet
simple.
sir has to say buy, he will never say it on the channel. So Sajeet sir can't answer this.
No,
He'll
no.
answer it.
सजीत सर विल से बाय एनपीएस.
No, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि why DI and FI numbers are almost similar, especially in the last few months, is because of the kind of new regulation which has come in, which is VWAP based buying, which is required by mutual funds. And I think the similar mechanism is there for institutions also. So you see mostly mutual fund activities coming in closer to the VWAP price, or especially in the last 30 minutes of the trade which is there, and वहाँ पर ट्रेड्स होते हैं. उसकी वजह से there is more similarity which is coming in. पहले नहीं होता था, पर अभी कुछ महीनों से हम देख रहे हैं, and it's coinciding with the new regulation which is coming in. So that could be one of the reasons why it is there. Otherwise, it's more about deploying of cash by the DIs which is happening. Oh, there's a question from Angel for you. REC Limited down 30%. We own it.
Looking very interesting now. I think for a while now. In fact, it's been down for a while now, but looking very interesting because and I'm just talking relative valuations, right? It had gone up to around 1.7 times book. It's come off very, very sharply, maybe more than 30%. If I'm not wrong, it was 41% when I'd seen it yesterday. So it had come near that one-time price to book. And when you're looking at forward, then to probably even lower than that. And therefore, it's a very interesting inflection point. That's point number one. Point number two, we had a CLSA high conviction buy on REC, and I'll try and quote what they said. They said management has become better this time around versus the last cycle. Second, they're taking up better quality of projects. Third, the people who they are or the companies they are lending to are also more cautious this time around. Mind you, equity markets have been buoyant, and we had S. Narayan come out and say that this time lenders have done well or will do well because equity markets have been so buoyant that whenever stock prices have inched above a certain threshold, you've had companies come out and issue equity and to refinance their debt. So all of the risk have been transferred from lenders to the equity shareholder, and therefore at one point where power companies really needed capital, they have gone out and they have raised capital likely. So I'm just trying to correlate both of these points and trying to tell you that maybe this time cycle for REC may be good for a longer period of time. There will be a more prolonged period of time where the cycle will be good. Recoveries, they've guided when I last spoke with them, calendar year 2025 will continue to be recoveries. FY26 also there will be negative credit costs very, very likely. So that will be truncated. They're not giving us guidance. We've tried very hard. FY27 credit cost guidance they've not given. So at a normalized level, what the credit cost will be, not really sure. So keep your eye out on that. But likely growth will take care of that. Largely this is the picture.
Okay, now we are going to do a rapid fire, guys. So, yeah, because there's so many questions, we can't give elaborate answers on each. So we'll do rapid fire.
There's one which is there.
Yeah, so we'll do all of them. So by the way, viewers, for a lot of stock specifications, what we'll also try and do is, once Sajeet told you that you send us the companies and we'll get them, we'll pass on these questions to our team at Ask Profit. That's a show that plays between 10:30 and 11:30. Mahima and Alex anchor that. You've seen Mahima on the show sometimes. They will try and ask the questions to the guests there, some of them, okay? But very quickly, so even when earnings are so strong, why is NVIDIA Infra Engineers falling? I don't know. Anybody of you has a 10-second answer?
No.
Okay, you don't. Is it, so Mr. Malangi is asking, is it wise to move to M&M by booking loss of 30% on Tata Motors? Now, yeah, that's a difficult call to make because usually people say,
fundamentally good companies actually.
yeah, both fundamentally good, and usually you want to swap out of something which has fallen 30% for something which has also fallen 30% for loss harvesting, essentially, right? That's what you're asking probably, then that's the answer. But short answer, M&M is doing really well.
Really well, and Tata Motors is also going to, also has a good portfolio which is coming in.
Does it? But Tata Motors hasn't done well in the recent past.
But sir, demerger, value unlocking is going to happen. Keep your eye out on that. That will well change.
Commercial vehicle separate and PV is going to be separate, and then Tata Capital IPO which is coming where they may get to exit.
So Mr. Malangi, we will ask this question on our show India Market Close today to one of the guests.
Yes, but it's a very interesting
It's a very interesting question, so we'll ask that for sure.
We'll
Dr. B, I have view on HEG. Dr. B, we will ask this to our Ask Profit team. So log into the show at 10:30 to 11:30 tomorrow. You will get a view. So that is the other thing. We've asked for DAM, FI buying.
I have a few. So there is Paytm. Paytm from a 5-year perspective.
10-second answer. 10 seconds.
Not so sure.
5 साल में पूरा model
from a
change
5-year
हो जाएगा.
perspective because at this price I'm really unsure. I would.
3 साल में 2 बार मॉडल चेंज हो गया.
I
5 साल में और क्या?
wouldn't. I mean, point being that there's Prince Pipes. Any of you have a view? Fedfina again. I'll caution. There are quite a few other names which are very interesting within the NBFC basket. Why don't you look at those instead of Fedfina?
Construction products or construction materials, Prince Pipes and all, if closely linked to real estate, right?
Yeah, closely linked. But there are a lot of other companies which are doing this so well, Astral, etc.
Yes,
So remains to be seen.
So it's a good competitive market which is there and growing at a good rate, which is happening.
Yeah, but last 12 months hasn't done too much. Vigin Dharan is asking very quickly, is AI technology detrimental to IT service companies and value additive to ER&D? Well, seemingly detrimental to IT service companies, which is why the IT sector is correcting. ER&D, you could
unless you're going to use it as part of a ER&D.
is it value additive? Well, maybe. AI is value additive to every business, I think. So you could argue, yes.
The Indian IT has to pivot towards providing services which has AI inbuilt in it.
And I think ER&D companies might do that. So yeah. Defense sector, very quickly, last question. Warren Buffett is asking, what about defense sector? Will they benefit due to global tensions?
Yes and no. Yes, because if US is not going to supply defense military aid to Ukraine, then Europe is going to do it. In that sense, there would be some demand coming in from Indian for some of the Indian manufacturers, but India does not do much of export. 30,000 crores का कुछ है उनका export India का, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं है. So it's a very small amount for exports for India. So it's not going to be much in that sense.
Okay.
But yes, demand from other markets may grow because there is a conflict going on in one area.
आपका समय समाप्त
होता है.
और हूटर बच गया है.
But guys, if you like this, please hit the bell icon. We appreciate all the support, and hit like, give us your thoughts in comments, and we hope you enjoyed it. Slightly tweaked the format, but
And keep your
queries coming.
Come.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Hi Prabhu. Niraj.